Peace, and welcome, family. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sins of the Father, hosted by me, Ani I Am. I appreciate you tapping back in. Still on this journey, still learning, still trying to understand things, doing some research the other day. And some really interesting things kind of came up. One of them were how some of these traumas, some of these things that we've gone through, actually have physical aspects to them, or can translate into physical aspects later on. So one of the things that I was reading was saying that a person who has maybe childhood issues may be more likely to suffer from heart disease. Is that not crazy or what? Like, how does you being, whatever, treated, neglected, turn into heart disease? But there are studies done that says that that's exactly what happened. There was a study done, and I'm forgive me, I'm reading because I want you guys to get actual information. I don't want to in any way give you anything that's not real, right? And everything that I'm doing is going to be based on something that I can provide. So what they call it is adverse childhood experiences. And there was a study done that said that children who suffer from adverse childhood experiences, including physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse, household substance abuse, household mental illness, parental separation or divorce, or witnessing domestic violence, can lead to other high-risk behaviors, which is you drinking, you smoking, you doing drug abuse, you having risky sexual behaviors. So all the times that we think that we're just promiscuous because we love women sometimes, it's really maybe not even the fact that we love women so much. It could be something that we experienced when we were younger. Imagine that. Like, really, isn't that kind of crazy to even think about that? We may love to explore our promiscuity because of childhood trauma. That opens up a whole thing. We gotta really understand, why are we being this way, And the funny thing is, it's promoted, in music and in other experiences, promoted, hey, go out and do this with the girl, do that with the girl, whatever. But is that really why we're doing it, simply because the woman looks beautiful? Is it something else? Is it something else we're experiencing based on those adverse childhood experiences, right? So there was a study done as well. It's in the American Medical Journey, the American Medical Association Journal, the Journal of American Medical Association. They found that there was a close relationship between the number of adverse childhood experiences, right, and people who risked other health problems later in life, such as heart disease, diabetes, and depression. So the parents with these problems may be less able to provide a safe and stable home environment for their children. Again, funny how these things interconnect, right? So if Big Mama had diabetes and was unhealthy, what did she pass on? Again, listen, please, I am not bashing Big Mama. I love Big Mama. I am not bashing Grandpa. They knew what they knew. I'm sure that most of their things were never intentional, right? Like, most of the things they may have done that was negative, had negative effects, was not intentional, but in reading and understanding it, it may have had negative effects on our parents. So Big Mama being drunk all the time, yelling and cursing and screaming and acting up, what effect did that have on Mama? Moms now being neglected. Moms having anxiety issues, depression issues, not feeling worthy. how does that translate into how we receive it? Or how did we receive it? You see what I'm saying? Like how those things are connected. And these are studies done in the, Journal of American Medical Association, which again, we know that sometimes those things don't always fit. We know, I'm a firm believer in that. Not everything fits, but let's not ignore certain correlations, right? Let's not ignore that there are certain things that may actually happen when you witness an incarcerated household member. When you grow up seeing, Uncle John, going into jail, going into prison. My Uncle Eugene spent, I think, 10, 15 years in prison. What impression did that have on me? This man came to live with me when he came home, right? I'm gonna give you a story. This is real story right here. So my Uncle Gene, God may rest in peace, was incarcerated at a young age, right? And came home, and my mom, wanting to be a provider and a protector of the family, told him, hey, did you come stay with me? And so I saw this man come in the house and be with us, right? And be around. And I knew of him being gone, and, obviously they spoke about him and talked about him. And I was young, maybe in my teens, right, when he came. And now I'm seeing him go through struggles, reintegrating into the community, reintegrating into family, because family didn't really embrace him the way that they probably should have or could have, and I don't know what the reason is. So I don't want to pretend that I have a full idea on why. All I can say is that they didn't. Right? Now what happens is he is out on the street. He goes back on the street. So he's dealing with his own traumas. But I'm experiencing it because I'm watching. Because, I'm looking up to like Big Unc, My uncle's home. Let me see what he's about. Let me see what he got going on. How's he, traversing the land? How is he managing in society right now? And to make a long story short, somebody killed him. Somebody stabbed him on a bench in Brooklyn and killed him. Right? So, think about this now. How does that affect me? This person I watch come home, be brought back into society, brought back into the family fold, and now he's gone. What effect does that have on me? And I'm not even saying I even know. I'm just telling you what happened. This is just the realities of what actually happened, not something that I figured out or anything else, right? You know what I mean? And that's a real issue as far as I'm concerned. Now, again, my mom, my mom didn't have, she did smoke. She did smoke. But me and my brother used to, I'm gonna tell you how we stopped her from smoking. It is another story, and I apologize. Let me just go off for a little bit, but we stopped her from smoking. We would take her cigarettes, we would crush them up and throw them in the toilet. And then one day she gets so mad, I said, I don't care, I'm gonna keep doing it until you stop smoking. And she stopped. But she developed pancreatic cancer. Yeah, so my mom developed pancreatic cancer. Now, what I will say, now that I'm even thinking about this, I'm talking about it, her mother was a drinker. Back in the days, she was fly. My grandmother was fly. She was a very beautiful woman. And she was out in the party scene. Is it any surprise that my mother developed certain traits based on that her mother was, out there in the streets, moving around? So is it a certain thing that my mother developed certain traits of neglect? And that's probably what she received at certain points. Where only person my mother could really rely on was Big Mama, right? But her mom was on the move. She was in the bars. She was, part of the nightlife. All those things that come along with, I'm just trying to date my mom. It's just somewhere in the 50s and the 60s, the 60s and things like that. That was the lifestyle. Drinking, partying, just trying to have a good time because you could. right? And like I said, my grandmother being very attractive, I'm sure she had a ton of male callers and people buying her what she wanted, and she really was. She was flying. So my mother now getting those same things. So now, what did my mother's traumas look like? I've explained to you this before, that, my mother, went out, worked, worked really hard, wasn't really home a lot when she was in that working phase, had a very low tolerance for, or patience for me. And I'm not saying that for any type of sympathy, please. I'm not saying that for any way. She just didn't. And that's as a young woman. I think she had me when she was maybe 25. Just to give you an example, my mother actually moved from one state to another when she was pregnant. So my mother was courageous. You're talking about a woman in the 70s saying, hey, I'm leaving to go live alone with no family members out there, right? And she figured it out, went to college out there, did all kinds of things, had me as a baby, all these different things. So I want to give my mother super credit for doing that. But for you to leave your family behind, what kind of trauma were you suffering from? What kind of fear, what were you running from that would make you uproot yourself from your family? And at that time, it was kind of unheard of for a young black woman to leave and go to another state, 800 miles away from where your whole entire family is, and you go out there with no family. Not like saying she had a cousin out there and it was in that. No, nobody was out there. So what kind of situation was that? You follow what I'm saying? Like, we gotta really think about that, what that means. So in just understanding, like I said, with these things that now I can read and research, studies that have been done, it kind of starts to give me even more context to how certain things were affecting us all. How things were affecting me, my grandmother, my mother, me, my father, my grandmother, my father, me. Because now I'm the recipient of two dysfunctional situations going on, trying to make understanding out of them both, right? Just trying to really get a real grasp on, on everything, right? So now, again, people who have suffered from adverse childhood experiences, right? It's been found in another study. This is in the Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychiatric Nursing, that those parents were significantly associated with maltreatment. Those parents would really have a higher rate of being reported as physically abusing their children or neglecting their children's basic needs. Whoa. So, if my mother suffered from adverse childhood experiences, which I know for sure she has because of things that we've spoken about, how much did that now affect how she experienced me? And with a real understanding. So now, was her way of dealing with me to physically abuse me? Was it to neglect certain of my needs? Now, I would say my mother provided me with a lot. I would say most of my friends growing up would probably agree and say, I did have a lot. I dressed nice, pretty decent, I didn't have 1,000 pairs of jeans, like children do nowadays, but I had enough clothes to go to school. I had, I had adequate sneakers and things of that nature. I wasn't nothing fly. I wasn't walking around in, the latest kicks, but, they were clean. I don't want to pretend that they was, I wasn't. I didn't have the flyest stuff, but, they were clean. My mother worked at, I believe, NBC, so, she would get the skybox tickets. So I'm sure all of my, my boys from back in the day would be able to remember when she would take us to the circus, and it would blow our minds that we were literally in a skybox with free food and free soda, and we would be able to walk down and go be by the circus. So it was cool. We had that, but my mother was physically abusive because she couldn't handle this young black, aggressive man. She couldn't really handle that, right? So she took out her anger, her frustration, not only with me, but what happened in the world. Her anger with what was happening to her in her environment, not understanding how to process it, and then kind of move that over to me. But now here it is. I'm this, young black boy. I'm already fighting a system that I don't understand. I'm already trying to survive in a system that is new to me, and I don't really know what's going on. You following me? So I'm just looking at all of these things. So I'm going to share that one of the things that I was looking at and made a lot of sense was, for those of us who may have our mother, like my mother, may she rest in peace, is deceased. So is my father. They both deceased at this point. Both passed of cancer. So again, correlating to what we just said was that there was certain correlations between adverse childhood experiences causing ailments later on in life. So it could be some, connection between the two. I can't say for sure, because like I said, my mother stopped smoking at 28 or something like that, maybe 30. She stopped smoking, and she passed of pancreatic cancer when she was about 50, somewhere around there, right? So again, and even understanding that, right? So now, here we go. As I was saying, so now here it is that my mother has that, and now here it is that, I was reading some things and it was saying boundaries. Setting boundaries, even with family. I think that's huge, right? That's just me personally. I believe that that's huge. Setting boundaries with family, because you have to create safe spaces for you to function. You have to create safe spaces where you can detach yourself from the dysfunctionality of certain family members, right? Because we gotta heal us, maybe moms and everybody ain't really ready to heal at that point. I can't say I don't know. I don't know, but I know what needs to happen for us sometimes is that we need to be able to separate and, kind of put that thing in perspective. So think about that now, right? So now here it is. I'm saying we need to figure out times that we need to separate from be able to identify when it is the right time to cut ourselves off from negative environments. It's not just family. What about friends who are suffering from their dysfunctional histories and circumstances, right? And now we're trapped in an environment with them. We love them. We want to hang out. We want to party. We want to chill. But their dysfunctional influences are now impacting us. So do we know when or how to identify when it may be time for us to consider moving away from that dysfunctionality? You know what I mean? Like really cut it. And, let's just say, hypothetically now, I didn't have this problem because, like I said, my mom is deceased. But I'm sure, and I've seen it, where a mother and a daughter are cursing each other out like two maniacs. Like, you would think this is her friend from the hood, calling her all kind of B words and just carrying on. But yet goes to see her mother every week. Yes, she's still, spends all of this time with the moms, right? The mom is still calling her fat, right? The mom is still expressing these negative imageries on the daughter. I think it's benefits you to say, I'm cutting, listen, mom, I'm gonna go home and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Because you staying in that, how is that shaping you and your environment? And then how is that shaping how you interact with those around you that you may actually love and try to be in a healthy relationship with? So your girlfriends, y'all calling each other bitches now. Think about this. So your mom calls you one, and then now when you see your homegirls, y'all still talking about B words. Y'all still calling each other the B word. How is that healthy? How? How is that healthy? And I'm not saying it's just for the women. I'm saying, brothers using certain language is just as bad, right? And I'm a victim of it. I'm going to say I'm a victim of it, and I'm an instigator of it. I called ninjas the N-word, for my whole life I did it, right? Trying my best not to do it anymore because I want to break that cycle. Because how does it make you feel to be called that? How does it? I mean, it's certain words that, that's my boy. What do you mean I'm a boy? You're a boy. I'm a man. Now, you heard me say it on the podcast. Well, my boys come down. These are my boys, but we're not boys no more. We men. Why we don't call ourselves what we are? What trauma, what ideology, what framework were we given that we are still holding on to today, that we are still using to identify ourselves? It's, and we can't keep thinking that it's separate from, or it's a unique or individual situation that is not rooted in a collective mindset. That just, to me, again, I'm not a psychiatrist. Disclaimer, I don't want nobody to come and tell me you told me this. I'm not a therapist, but I am someone who is intuitive and in search of answers. So I'm looking for the answers. And what I'm finding is that there's a connection. If I constantly tell myself, yo, my boy, come over to the crib. My boy, come over to the crib? Like, what is all of these baby words that we're using to describe men? Where does that dysfunctionality come from? I'm thinking, it just popped in my head. I'm thinking about my father. You jive turkey. Like, what? What is that? What is a jive turkey? What is that? Where did they get this terminology from? And was it passed down to them? I'm going to look that up. Hopefully I'm going to look that up. And if somebody finds it in the comments, please put it in the comment. I would love to find out, where did the term you jive turkey come from? And then how did it affect him in believing that he was actually a hero, man of means and wisdom? How did it affect him from being able to accept the role of a provider? How did it challenge that role? Yeah, that's deep, man. These names. Come on, boy. Now, we get mad if, a white person would call us a boy, right? Because we think that's it. But then we go in and call ourselves the boy. It's my boys. That's my baby. So your girlfriend back there would say, that's my baby. And baby, I'm a grown, I'm a grown ass man. I'm a baby. But, again, and I understand these terms became terms of endearment, but what do they do psychologically? Words have meaning. Words create an environment around a thing, right? Words create an environment around a thing. So when we accept these words as definitions or defining things about our experience, how do we live out that experience? I mean, and I hope I'm not going too deep and too off, right? Tell me, tap in the comments, you know what I mean? Let me know if I'm reaching. But I'm trying to figure this out. Like I already told y'all, I don't have the answers. I'm looking for the answers. If somebody know a therapist want to tap in, and, come on podcast, come talk to me, I'm looking forward to having some of my friends who are therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists they're going to come on the platform. You know, I've talked with them, and I'm looking to have even more in-depth conversations with them so that we, the laymen, can get these understandings and get a better understanding of where we are and why we are and what's happening, so that we stop accepting certain norms that are putting us in a position to suffer, and to pass those norms on to our children. Because if I walked up to you and just said, yo, and called your son, hey boy, you probably would feel away. And he is a boy, but you would probably still feel away on the way I said it. So it's about context, right? How we taking it. But the word has a meaning. I don't care what you do with it. The word has a meaning. And until we are willing to accept that there are things that we need to change, that we have grown to incorporate in our daily existence, we're going to continually deal with those things. We're going to continually deal with the ramifications of that kind of, impression on the spirit. You could put a spell on yourself. They say basically, you just sat around and called somebody dumb. Oh, that's stupid. You stupid. That person begins to get a feeling, they begin to internalize that. Man, they didn't call me stupid every day. I thought I was just being funny, but he told me I'm a clown, or I'm stupid, or whatever it is. You internalize that because those words have meaning. One of the biggest lies we've probably ever been told was that sticks and stones hurt your bones, words will never hurt you. That's a lie. That's a lie. Words will hurt you more than a belt would. That belt is done when it's done. That word sticks in your psyche and it starts to attach itself to your life. Like when you do something, right? You do something and you say, damn, that's stupid. Am I a stupid mistake? And you yell at yourself, stupid, why'd you do that? And you don't realize that you're calling yourself these things, and is that something that is learned? Can we unlearn that? Can we say to ourselves, listen, I'm never, ever calling myself stupid. Think about it. I'm never going to call myself stupid again. Can you actually say that to yourself? I'm never going to call myself a derogatory term ever. That's hard. I could be the first one to say it. I'll be honest. I don't raise my hand. No. I do it all the time. Even now, even in my journey to growth, I'll say something that happened. I'll say, damn it, it was a stupid mistake. I'm the one that's internalizing that because ain't nobody else around. I'm saying that to myself. Ain't even got to be around me. I'm saying that, right? How is that helpful? Is it hurtful? We got to change these behaviors. We got to start identifying when we're doing things that are not in alignment with where we're going, who we want to be, how we want to be addressed, how we want to address others, healing others, being helpful to others, being encouraging to others. We have to be intentional in that regard. Think about that. We got to be intentional in that regard of saying, I'm not using that. I'm not using that terminology. I'm not going to curse my guy with that right there. I'm not going to curse my lady with that, And I think we have to really be cognizant and mindful of what we're doing. Like, this is just, this is what I believe. We got to be cognizant and mindful of what we're doing because we know the effects are real. And now that we have evidence in medical journals stating that these types of behaviors can lead to adverse health conditions later down the line, it's even more imperative when we, African Americans, die at the highest rate of heart disease, high blood pressure, those types of things, right? So it's even more imperative that we start correcting anything that has the potential of harming us health-wise. Think about it. anything that may even remotely affect us attention-wise, we need to get out that. We need to figure that shit out ASAP. We need to figure out a way to stop that ASAP. You know, I'm looking at, you know, family members, whole lineages of men from a certain family. None of them live past 70. You know, relatively healthy. You know, I'm not saying they eat the best, but they don't eat the worst. But none of them live past 70. No connection to nothing. Just randomly, nobody lives to 70. You know, and again, you know, genetics. Speaking to one of my doctor friends, and he's like, you know, genetics don't play as much of a part as we thought it did in regards to health. There's certain things that are not passed on. You know, everybody thinks that everything is passed on, alcoholism, blah, 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 drug use, blah, 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 everything. And I'm not saying which ones are and aren't. I'll do that research and hopefully be able to kind of come back to the family and kind of share that with you at some point, right, in this journey. But I had this in-depth conversation with a doctor, and he was like, no, all those things are not hereditary. You can defeat diabetes. You can stop diabetes by changing your diet. You may have a propensity for it, a higher propensity, but you don't have to ever develop diabetes. But again, not being aware of it, sins of the father will be visited upon the 4 generations of the son. We begin to say to ourselves, well, my grandmother had this, more than likely I'm gonna have it. My grandfather had this, more than likely I'm gonna have it. So let me just eat my cake and my sugary bowl of cereal, and let me just eat whatever the hell I want. Especially nowadays when this food is like, you know, food is not the best. You know, it's super hard to find food in the aisle that doesn't say bioengineered at this point. Like literally, like it's almost, especially here in America, it's almost impossible to find something in the aisle that doesn't say, you know, genetically modified, bioengineered. So we dealing with a different kind of food, but we're eating it, just scarfing this down, you know, just scarfing it down. And now we're developing these traits, but we don't have to eat what our parents ate. We ain't got to eat that. We ain't got to eat chitlins. I'm just saying, we don't have to eat chitlins. You might like them. I'm just saying, we don't have to eat them just because they ate them. If we find out new information and there's new data that says that that is not conducive to great health, then now we might need to consider not eating chitlins. We may need to consider not eating a bowl of Fruit Loops. I remember talking to somebody, and they was like, you know, I couldn't eat sweet cereals when I was young. I'm eating these, you know, I love cereal. Are you kidding me right now? A bowl of sugar? Because it ain't a bowl of cereal, it's a bowl of sugar. A bowl of sugar? You, man, know yourself. Man, know thyself. You don't know by now that you cannot eat a bowl of sugar a day and live healthily? Come on now. Come on, what we talking about? Just because that's what we grew up on? We grew up on pancakes. And so, man, I was with my friend of mine, and I remember being there and visiting him in his house, and he had his children, and I'm sitting at the table. It was the first time I stayed with him. I remember sitting at the table, and he gave his children pancakes, bacon, drowned in syrup, and a Coca-Cola. I said, holy. You know, I'm younger back then, so I'm a little wilder, so I'm like, I'm looking at this shit like, yo, what are you doing? Soda? With pancakes and bacon? Oh, you got to be kidding me. And I apologize for anybody on the call or anybody who's watching this podcast who eats that. I am saying to you, it is not healthy, and you should stop it immediately. You should not have a soda with your pancakes and syrup and bacon. You should not. You could hate me for it. You could. I am telling you out of love. Again, this is about sharing. That ain't healthy. Not like I really had to tell you that, because I think you know it, right? I think you really know that ain't it. Not if you want to live to be 90. Now, if you want to live to be, you know, in a healthy 90, I'm not talking about a bedridden 90. I'm talking about a healthy 90, walking and you know, jogging, walking through the park. Nah, you don't do that. But you know, again, you think you might have saw Big Mama do it, right? Big Mama was eating real food. Besides that pancakes that she might have ate, she ate fruit, she ate collard greens, real collard greens grown in real soil. She ate real chicken that didn't have all kind of byproducts in it and all kind of crap in it. But visually, she ate chicken, so we eating chicken. You know, these chickens are shot up with, I mean, goddamn, how many wings they got in the world? Come on now. Every single store and restaurant in the country has a goddamn chicken wing. Come on now. And not only one, they got enough that they could feed your whole goddamn party if they all ordered 20 wings. Listen, you ain't fooling me with that crap. Something is off. Unless you growing chickens with 5 wings, 10 wings on that, I don't know where you getting all them wings from. Then you go to the supermarket and they got a bag of about 50 wingettes for $10 and a frozen. Come on, let's just be real. But again, getting back to these habits come from somewhere. So going back to, again, even further to where we were talking about, you know, having to separate yourself from certain environments. Those environments might be separate yourself from food, from alcohol, from smoking, from drinking. That might be part of what you have to separate yourself from. That lifestyle that you love, that you thought was dope, might be what you got to separate yourself from to heal. And give yourself and your children the chance for full-bodied life. For a full-bodied life. Who don't want more life? Who don't want that? Like, come on, who don't want that? Who don't wish that their deceased relatives, elders, mothers, fathers didn't have that opportunity to be around and see my children grow? My mother never saw my children grow. My son don't even remember my mother. She died young. He was maybe 8 months. He didn't even make it to a year yet. She passed away. My first son knew her, but at this point, does he even remember her at this point, other than a picture? You know, no shade to my mom. Like I said, she did what she knew how to do. But I got to do better. I got to do better because I know better. You know the saying, you know better, you do better. But some of us know and still don't do it. What is that? Is it because we trapped and tied to dysfunctionality that is rooted in something that was given to us? Because if we were only given positive reinforcements, we wouldn't be tied to that. We would find a way to get out of that. Really, we would find a way to get out of it. It's just my feeling, family. It's just my feeling. So, you know, like I said, let's start identifying the things that are adverse to us, that are harmful to us, and let's start setting boundaries. Let's create boundaries for ourselves to say, I'm going to remove myself from partying this weekend. I'm going to remove myself from this toxic relationship with my homegirl. I'm going to remove myself from my mom, my father, who's always getting down on me, critiquing me, and robbing me of my joy. Let me put them people on a timeout. Let me put my mother and my father, whoever that may be, on a timeout so I could heal. I could grow. My defenses could get stronger. When I come back around, it's like, all right, hey, time out. I need a break. You going too much, right? You're doing too much right now. Nothing is more important than you. And nobody's going to take care of you the way you will. Don't ever let nothing ever contradict that. Nothing will ever, or no one will ever take care of you more than you're going to take care of yourself. It is your responsibility to do what's healthy for you. You got to love self first. And you only love what you know. Thank you, family, for tapping in. Peace and love, man. See you soon. Peace.